5 years ago, the Region 6 Community Preparedness Working Group and state and tribal program managers worked together to start the Region 6 Community Preparedness Awards. They shine the light on folks that do the big lifts in community preparedness every day at the local level. They are run through the states. The state program managers put out the nominations and then have groups that are able to select the winners there that eventually compete through the Region 6 Community Preparedness Working Group for the Region 6 Community Preparedness Awards. And those are in the youth preparedness and whole community. And through the pandemic, the last couple of years, the Exceptional Service During COVID-19 Award. This year's Exceptional Service During COVID-19 Award winner is Kathy Packard, Executive Director of the Oaklawn Center on Aging in Hot Springs, Arkansas, Garland County, Arkansas. And it is my pleasure now to introduce Kathy Packard, this year's winner, on the hashtag R6 Prepares podcast. Welcome to the hashtag R6 Prepares podcast. I'm Bill Bischoff, FEMA Region 6 Community Preparedness Officer, and we're going to be talking about community preparedness matters that affect Region 6 states and tribal nations, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Texas, and the tribal nations therein. We hope you enjoy the show. Welcome, Kathy Packard, to the hashtag R6 Prepares podcast. Kathy, you're the Executive Director, I'm telling you like this, like you don't know it, of the Oaklawn Center on Aging. And you're also this year's winner of the Region 6 Community Preparedness Award for Exceptional Service During COVID-19. And not just that, but also the winner of the state of Arkansas winner, as our friend Gary Reagan would tell us. So welcome to the podcast. And I just want to start out and say congratulations. And if you don't mind, just tell me how this comes about, because I know a bit from reading the nomination form, how, goodness, you were wrangling cats to do what you did there. And I know that it took a lot of cats helping. So tell me how you wound up in this spot.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for the award. What an honor for Oaklawn Center on Aging and myself to be even considered for this award. We're humbled by it, and truly humbled by it. When you said wrangling cats, we definitely wrangled some cats. How it came about was there were several of us that work in aging services for older adults, and our older adults who desperately needed socialization, to be out and about doing things, were staying home. They weren't doing anything. They weren't having any social contact. And so I'm just going to mention the name. Ray Dowdy and I got together, put our heads together, and Ray contacted Bo. And we thought, we've got to work with the Office of Emergency Management to be able to do something on this scale. And from there, Bill, it just blossomed. Bo said yes. Bo said, let's work with the county. All of a sudden, we're having meetings with the county judge and the city manager.
Before we go further down that road, Bo Robertson is the Garland County Emergency Manager, and also a longtime partner from mine way back, and Gary Reagan's there at Arkansas Division of Emergency Management due to the old chemical stockpile program. So it's old home week when I hear about Bo and Gary and now the fact that y'all teamed up is just beautiful. So go ahead, please.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say Bo is our hero. He was the glue that held us together and said, okay, this is how it needs to go. This, we need to work with the county judge. We need to do this. And I don't even think I met him until maybe 2 or 3 months into planning. We were just on emails and going back and forth. But Oaklawn Center on Aging took the lead when we were asked to schedule those vaccinations, schedule those shots. We were able to open our doors and say, come get an application we thought maybe 500 older adults might show up that day. And of course, we're all in masks and we're garbed up and we don't want to get close to people. So we leave 50 applications out on our front porch at our office. We've got people pounding on the doors. We need an application. We want our vaccine. And so that day in particular, I know our copy machine kind of went, what the heck is going on here? I believe we gave away 2,500 applications for a vaccine that day. And then they had to return it. And then we had to schedule those people. And the timing was pretty crucial, but we got it done. We actually got it done. And through working with Bo and all of our other partners, the county judge, the fire department, oh my gosh, what a godsend. And then the sheriff's department, the city, the police, the city manager sent police out to help us, move traffic along. It was just, I cannot say enough about what Bo did for Garland County during this time, because it really was a lot of work and it was a lot of coordination. We were able to get someone to donate robocalls, and I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but we were able to put those 2,500 phone numbers into a system and called them with their appointments. I look back and I think, I don't know how we did all this, but we did. And the first run through with Bo out at the county, we did a drive-through clinic. It was out at the county fairgrounds and it went off flawlessly. We had the fire department there watching, for any kind of reaction to the shots. People were waiting there 15 minutes. Everything went flawlessly. Everybody drove through. Bo had contacted the school of nursing at National Park College. I had contacted UAMS. I had connections over there. Everyone just worked together and came out, did the shots. But our biggest problem was, how are we going to feed these people? We had maybe 100 volunteers, and I'm thinking they can't spend all day out at a fairgrounds and not be fed. Well, again, all we had to do was make some phone calls, and people said, "Sure, we'll come out and feed them. We got this." It was just a community effort, and Garland County really came together to do all that. And
that is fantastic.
I can't say how proud I am.
Who was volunteering the meals?
Okay, we had one of the ones was a man that owned Diversified let's see, I can't remember the name of it, but it is a transportation company that transports older adults. And Diversified Mobile, that's what it is. Good. And James came out and cooked. He actually smoked pork, and we got pulled pork barbecue sandwiches and chips. And then First Security, which is a bank here, brought we call it the Teal Grill. They came and they grilled 2 or 3 times and fed the staff. So those were the main 2. And then we had a lawyer that Corbett, you're asking me to remember names and I can't remember, but a law firm here actually donated food to be grilled. So we had quite a few. Elite Home Health, the Clear Spring, Home Instead, home health agencies that really wanted to see our older adults get out and become more active and be able to have that socialization.
Right.
They needed the physical activity, they needed the socialization, and they were going nowhere as long as they didn't have a vaccine. So we needed to get that to them.
Who was handling the, you said the drive-through? Is that going to be fire department guys helping with the traffic control and moving people through?
It was Bo and the fire department.
Right.
Sure, several fire departments in Garland County. It wasn't just one. It wasn't just Hot Springs but it was Garland County Fire Departments.
And probably a few volunteer fire departments, it sounds like, as
Uh,
well.
Possibly. I just know the names of the firemen that I worked with, and I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't tell you which one they were with.
You just know, like when you see any firefighter, you know, you're glad they're there. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And I know their names, but I don't know which one they work for.
That's it.
Except, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, who was given the vaccinations? Who did you have doing that?
We had two different pharmacies. We had Lance Smith, his pharmacy, Smith Drug and Compound. And then we had Michael Butler, who does Eastgate Pharmacy in Garland County and Saline County up in Hot Springs Village. So those were the two pharmacies that were used.
Roughly how many people came through? Do you remember?
I'm going to say Bo says over 5,000. So I'm going to trust him. Over 5,000.
He's a good one to trust. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we had 4 clinics, 4 drive. I'm not certain about the number of clinics that we had. It was probably more than 4 total. Well, I consider one drive-through to be twice because you had to come back a month later to get that second shot. So we had
How
several.
long were you up? How long were you up running?
Up and running. What we started, are you asking when we started to do them and when we stopped?
Yes.
I'm kind of old, so I'm going to say February to maybe end of April, maybe May. It was just a few, and then
it's a few heavy months though. Yeah.
it was Ray Dowdy and I actually looked back on our calendars and we started planning this in January, and we worked 7 days a week, 10 hours a day until it was over.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And that first day off felt really good.
I would imagine, I can only imagine. Tell me who Ray is.
Ray Dowdy is just a phenomenal therapist here in Hot Springs who has a heart for volunteering and a heart for older adults. And she was a joy and pleasure to work with. And she actually likes to work behind the scenes and not be noticed. And but I'm going to give her a shout out in this podcast because she did a phenomenal job and her husband helped us too. So
way to go, Ray. Way to go. Thank you, Ray. Well, I've got people in Hot Springs and I know they're amongst the thankful ones, and I am very thankful on their behalf as well. When you started this, did you have one idea of how it's going to go and then end up thinking of it differently along the way, or were there any benefits that you didn't see that you'd have, or challenges that you didn't see that you'd have, that by the end you went, I should have seen.
I will say when we started it, I thought maybe 500 people would come get their shot. I thought, oh, we can just find a big enough place they can walk in, get their shot and leave. But that first day when we gave out 2,500 applications, we realized, because one of the things we had to do first was establish a need for a large clinic, for several hundred people. And we did that in 8 hours. 25 people drove through the parking lot out in front of our building. And so that I'd never in my wildest dreams thought that would happen. I didn't think that many people would want it. And then the challenge was, how do we schedule 2,500 people? The next challenge was that, okay, now they're starting to open up vaccinations at pharmacies, or you could get an appointment. You had to be on a waiting list. However, it was much more cost effective to have people drive through and not even get out of their cars, because that way they wouldn't be exposed to anything. We had, our injectors garbed up. They weren't, all of us were actually garbed up. So that was the only thing. Looking back, I'm not sure that I would say I would do anything differently. It was a learning curve for sure, that first drive-through clinic. But after we got through the first one, we knew exactly how to schedule people and how many people we could schedule in an hour and how quickly they could go through the barn at at the fairgrounds. And then, we had a 15-minute wait out in the field with the fire department. So, and I will say, one guy said, he wrote back and thanked us for the drive-through clinic. And he said, I have to say, that was more efficient than Chick-fil-A. And
That's a high compliment.
Bo and I felt like that was just a really nice compliment.
I think so. Well, this is one of those things that we are in community preparedness, part of emergency management. And a lot of times as I look at my background, which I'm surrounded by former firefighters or EMTs or police officers. I'm a former newspaper guy and a former PIO, public information officer. And yet as time goes by, I see that sometimes is what you need in emergency management. You need all types. And I find that you're covering a bunch of those roles. You're tell me what all you have, because I look at your name and your email tag, and there's a whole lot of initials there. So tell me how you come to the game and become in emergency management from all those initials.
Well, I'm a licensed professional counselor with specialty in gerontology. So my love, what I like to do is to help caregivers, especially caregivers that have a loved one with dementia, like Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's, dementia. Help them, educate them on how to care for their loved ones and care for themselves. So I came at that as and I guess my initial thought was, here are all these caregivers, they're home, there's no place to take their loved ones for them to get a break. They can't have anybody come into the house. Caregiver burden, we know will cause great health problems for caregivers, especially older adults. And in a high percentage of caregivers, the healthy person caring for the one with dementia dies before the one with dementia. And so, and Ray and I both kind of came at it from that standpoint, because we really wanted to get people back going to our facility here in Hot Springs called the Caring Place. It is a day facility for people with dementia. And we wanted to get our caregivers back being healthy mentally and physically. So that was the initial response. And all those letters behind my name have everything to do with educating caregivers about Alzheimer's disease and dementia.
Well, fantastic. So, well,
that's where I come from. I'm that feel-good person. Now, you might ask Bo on some days, I wasn't too nice to the people running the pharmacies, running the show. Asking way too much information, and me going, no, just give them a shot. It'll be fine.
I believe sometimes that's what it's all about in emergency management, community preparedness, and calling the shot that's got to be given. So yeah.
There were a few times I walked up to the pharmacist and said, we're going to have to move this along.
Well, Kathy, I want to thank you so much for being our Community Preparedness Award winner this year, and also for all the service you and Ray and Bo and everybody gave there at the Garland County Vaccination Site. It's done a lot of good for your community. It's done a lot of good. And now we recognize you at the state and now regional level, and our partners in the other regions will be looking at what you do and how to incorporate that and what they do. So I want to thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today, and I'm looking forward to talking to you soon.
Yes, thank you so much, Bill. It warms my heart that we received it, and I can't say how honored I am to represent Oaklawn Center on Aging and receive that award.
That about does it for this episode of the #R6 Prepares podcast. Please give us a like on our YouTube channel and subscribe there if you will. And likewise, please follow us at #R6Prepares on Twitter. Take care of you and yours, and we'll talk to you next time.